Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asad Lalji. I promise today is going to be a riveting and perhaps a slightly controversial discussion. Because when the world begins to spend millions on sneakers they can't wear, fashion they can't touch, concerts they can't go to, and art that they can't hang on the wall, controversy is only the beginning of the conversation. Over the past 13 years and 1,600 plus thoughtfully curated and diverse online and offline programs, we have been curators, observers, collaborators, and most excitingly, inquisitive forecasters of what is new and what is going to shake up the world of arts. Today's event is exactly that, a result of our curiosity. And what in the world are NFTs and why is everyone talking about them with such intrigue? Non-fungible tokens are bringing artists and collectors closer together. Our panel today will discuss whether NFTs will finally bring an end to forgery in art, piracy in music, and inspiration in fashion. We'll debate how a primarily Gen Z audience is changing the DNA of the arts. Welcome to the NFT explosion, decoding the latest disruptor in the arts, presented in collaboration with IFB and Method Gallery. May I now request our panel of experts to join us. Rapper and co-founder OTP India, Jay Killer. Come on, clap for him, guys. Woo! Digital fashion designer Sharanya Wee. VP Wazirex, NFT Marketplace Vishaka Singh. Co-founder Hefty Art, blockchain and NFT enthusiast and investor Kanish Chabria. And the session will be moderated by founder Method Gallery Sahil Arora. I am sure you all are going to have many questions for this august panel, so I'm going to request you to just hold it till the end where Sahil will be facilitating a Q&A. Hopefully post this discussion, we would have decoded the latest disruptor in the arts. So let's find out. Thank you once again for joining us this evening, and over to you, Sahil. Thank you.
Thanks, Asad, for the introduction. Thank you all for coming out, and Asad for actually putting together a really diverse panel on the subject. So we have representation from the marketplace. We have creators here with us, Sharanya and Jay as well. And just before I start the session, I want a quick show of hands. How many of you all are familiar with what a blockchain is? Okay, how many of, not a lot, how many of you all are familiar with cryptocurrency? NFTs? How many of you all have ever purchased, traded in NFTs? So not a lot, great. So we're gonna start the panel with just a quick overview from my end on blockchains and NFTs, just the very basics, followed by each panelist speaking a little bit about what they're doing in the space. And then open it up for discussion, followed by questions too. To start with, what is the blockchain? For all practical purposes, the blockchain is a decentralized ledger. So it's a record of transactions that happen over time between people and users. There are really 5 key elements that define a blockchain, and I think it's interesting to know this in terms of the role that these elements play when it comes to NFTs. The 5 would be distribution. So the ledger, which is the blockchain, is not controlled by one person. It's distributed across multiple nodes. It's defined by encryption. So everyone talks about privacy and security, and that's a hallmark of really the blockchain and everything that comes off it. So you can stay completely anonymous with your financial transactions or what assets you own, transfer, and trade in. It's immutable. So once something is on the blockchain, you can't edit it, you can't change it. Nothing can be done over there. Tokenization essentially is for transactions to happen on the blockchain. items need to be tokenized. So cryptocurrency, for example, is an example of fungible tokens. NFTs, which we're going to talk about, which covers art, music, and other assets, are non-fungible tokens. Decentralization is kind of similar to distribution. No one person controls the blockchain. It's spread out, it's distributed. Transactions are verified by multiple nodes, and the ledger is owned by multiple people. So it's not really one power center that kind of controls the ecosystem. It is spread out and more democratic in that sense. What is cryptocurrency? Most of you all did put your hands up, but it's essentially virtual currency to trade and transact in digital assets on the blockchain. There's different ones which are linked to different blockchains. So you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Matic, Solana, and so forth, which function on each of their own blockchains. What are NFTs? So NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which means each one is unique. So unlike cryptocurrency, which are fungible, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, you can trade it. NFTs represent unique digital assets, right? So they're defined by rarities, uniqueness, and that's why they each have their own value that they come with. NFTs could really be any of these things or more. So it could be art, music, collectibles, fashion, in-game challenges, events, really anything that's traded on the blockchain could be an NFT as well, as long as it's unique. I'm going to hand over to Sharanya, who's going to talk a little bit about from the fashion perspective.
Hi, my name is Sharanya, and I'm a digital fashion designer. I have no formal training in tech whatsoever. I went to fashion school, but during lockdown, everybody, I gave myself a challenge and I decided to learn to make clothes because I was bored. I think that's how it all started. So I decided to teach myself a bunch of different 3D softwares. The thing was, it was very daunting for me when I started because I had no idea. So I used to sit in front of the computer for like 10, 12 hours trying to figure this out. But the more I understood it, the more I did it, the more obsessed I got with it, I would say. I'm still borderline obsessed with making virtual clothes. And what DressX is one of the first and one of the most prominent digital-only fashion platform. They saw my work, I don't know how. They approached me and they launched me on their platform last September. So I'm very new to this industry. Having said that, I've learned so much along the way that I'm very excited for what's coming. I think it's a very exciting time for NFT and fashion. I think we'll speak more about that later. I think this was just an introduction of me and who is Jay.
So yes, my name is Jay, and I want to talk about. So I'm a hip hop artist. I've been doing music for about 10 years, and I got into NFTs also last year because as an artist, and I'm an independent artist, and you're always looking for new ways to make money and earn an income, and so the project that we started is called OTP, which is Official Trading Packs. And basically, it's a collection of digital trading cards as NFTs. And the idea is these cards are meant to empower Indian hip-hop artists. So when you purchase an artist card, you're directly supporting them. And then the collectors can earn perks like free concert tickets or shout-outs and different things related to the artist. So we started this. We've been working on this for about a year, but we just launched it in February. And if you go to the next slide, I just want to show, this is a chart of streaming and how streaming platforms pay out artists. Because, today in the music industry, streaming has become the dominant way that people consume music. And if you look at this, Spotify is at the top, and they have one of the highest payout rates. But that rate is 0.004 cents per stream. So, to get to $1, you need like 217 streams or something. To get to $1,000, you need 217,000, which is a lot for different artists. And so with OTP, we wanted to solve this problem because there are a lot of problems in the music industry, but this is one of the main ones. And artists aren't getting paid what they should. So we set up this collection, and if you go, we have 10 artists from across the country. And the idea is every artist has 500 of their card. So, and we we're pricing the cards lower because we wanted to get the hip-hop audience in. And yeah, so basically, our plan is to release a new pack of cards every 3 to 4 months, and we want to continue adding different artists. And yeah, this is the 3D version of the card, the actual NFT. So that's my card there. But yeah, that's basically OTP in a nutshell. We wanted to create this ecosystem outside the music industry where people can support the artists, and then we also wanted to tap into this collectible feel with these trading cards. So that's a little about me, and thank you, Assad and Avid, for having me on this panel. I will pass it on.
Hey guys. Firstly, Assad, thank you for having me here. Super grateful. I'm Kanish Chabria. I'm the co-founder of Hefty Art. Hefty Art is a curated Web 3.0 art marketplace. We're looking to bring the legends of contemporary art onto the blockchain, as well as untapped talent eventually. The whole idea being is that with contemporary art, sales of contemporary art, there's many times where you have the primary sale of the art being made at a very low price point. You have the second sale of the art being made at a price point which is way higher than the initial sale. Now, this is a huge problem for many of the artists. They're not able to monetize correctly. What the blockchain allows us to really do is write them into a smart contract, which allows them to make royalties of every secondary sale of every piece of art that's made. So this is something we found very interesting, and this is what we thought would be very interesting to the artists as well, and which is why we came forward with this project. So that's a little bit about me, and super excited to be here, guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Vishakha Singh and I'm the co-founder and VP of WazirX NFT Marketplace. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of WazirX, which is the India's #1 most trusted crypto exchange. Bit of a humble brag, not that I was the founder of that, that's our parent company. But WazirX happens to be the pioneer in the crypto revolution in the country. And they've been around against all odds for the last 5 years. And last year, when I and my co-founder, we were building our own startup in Toronto. I'm also an actor and a film producer. And I've always understood the community aspect or the importance of community in everything that we build and the importance of audiences. When the pandemic hit us all, a lot of us realized that there's no such thing as stability. There is no such thing as safety. At the end of the day, we all had to figure out solutions and we had to fend for ourselves. But the good thing that happened in the pandemic was that independent artists found a solution and they decided to leverage this blockchain technology. And I and my co-founder, we were building this startup in Toronto, and we were just fortunate enough to have Nischal Shetty, the founder of WazirX, the crypto exchange, who was a friend, and we just proposed this idea to him of an NFT marketplace, and he said, why not? Now, NFTs helped, they basically help in a faster crypto adoption. Why NFTs? We've been around for 14 months in this space, and on the 1st of June, we'll be celebrating 1 year of WazirX NFT marketplace. And we've had a lot of learnings. You know, when this entire NFT ecosystem exploded, it happened because people made a sale of $69 million, right, by selling an NFT. And the collector of that NFT art piece was an Indian. And we were like, wow, you know, this is a manna from heaven, and let's do this. But the Indian story is very different. Unlike the West, our per capita income is 1/10. Our internet penetration is only at 50%. Our own equation with assets is very different. We like property, we like gold. The elite and the rich who can afford art like, art that you can hang on your walls. Why tangible assets, something that you can't really touch? The answer is very simple. Of course, from all the advantages that we've listed about blockchain, it being decentralized and the transparency that it gives you, there is a very simple reason for us to understand and learn NFTs, even if we don't want to, simply because it's not Gen Z, which is on blockchain and NFTs, it is Gen Alpha. On WazirX NFT Marketplace, our youngest creator is 10 years old, our youngest collector is 14 years old, and that's a good enough reason for us to learn the game, because the future generation is there.
Thank you all. So I think, to get the discussion going, everyone here, like on the panel, obviously has committed to NFTs in a certain way, in a pretty big way, right? You all are putting down resources, time towards building your futures over there. The most common question we hear, though, from the market is, hey, this is a fad. It's going to die out soon. This isn't something serious. Everyone's just spending time online, and it's not going to go anywhere, right? Vishaka, I want you to address that just because WazirX has 5 years that they've gone through multiple crypto bear markets and phases of FUD, and then we can hear from the rest of the panel.
So again, as I said, 14 months in this space, and I still get this question. It is not a fad. OpenSea, which is the first NFT marketplace, started in 2017. And until March 2020, they had a volume, they had done a sales volume of $28,000. Last year, their sales volume was at $43 billion. $43 billion is not a fad. Blockchain is not a fad. Yes, we will see better use cases emerge of NFTs, but art is here to remain. $233 million worth of art NFTs were sold last year. This is not a fad.
Thanks. Kanishk, you're getting into the space, right? Hefty is launching soon with a pretty big launch. Is that a question you get a lot as well?
For sure, for sure. That is a question I get a lot. As you said, art is launching soon. We have MFSN's Fury launching about the first week of June. That would be a one-of-one auction. So what she said was very interesting, actually, because in the past, we thought that physical goods were scarce, and digital goods were abundant. They were recreatable. That's something that's changed very recently. You're allowed to own pieces of the internet right now by buying an NFT. So that's something which is what I think would be a complete game changer for a lot of people. And we are, of course, in a very nascent stage of the industry right now. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of players that need to be flushed out. But I believe that the real use cases and utility are still being built around NFTs, and they will continue to be built and permeate into all forms of society, I'd say.
Right. Jay, I think you want to add to it?
Yes, I agree with what Vishaka and Kanishk are saying. Is that, because see, with NFTs, what they do really is they provide ownership. It's a tool to own something. So that thing can be either digital, but it could also be physical. You can make an NFT for a house and say if you buy this NFT, you own that house. So the technology goes very deep. Even with blockchain and decentralization, it's much more democratized in everything that you do. But right now, there's a lot of hype because it's all this pictures, profile pictures, and art. So that's why people are saying it could be a fad. But underneath the technology, it's very strong.
Do you guys think crypto is, or rather the entire space is controlled by crypto natives? Because that's another question I hear a lot. That the hype, it's been built by the whales who've been there for a decade.
So, okay, let's understand. Let's divide the market into West and the global South. The Western market is very mature, and I think it probably mimics what's happening in the physical art world as well. I'm not an expert in the physical art world space, but in India, the scene is very, very different. Globally, of course, the market is very mature. Now, in India, who are your NFT collectors? Crypto enthusiasts, startup founders, NRIs based in the Bay Area, traders who want to just learn the game, and especially in the pandemic, everybody wanted to understand and figure out a second stream of income. Early adopters, innovators, youngsters, again, as I said, teenagers, primarily Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and millennials. Probably just 6% of our collectors are over 40, and probably just 2% of our creators are over 50. So I think we'll come to that later, but just yeah.
So I get this, right? And these are a lot of questions that I had, which from an art standpoint, like a visual art, did get addressed to me. But then when fashion NFTs came into the picture, it was a whole set of new questions. Like, how do you wear virtual fashion? How do you show it off? Like, what's the value in that? Why are people dropping $10,000, $15,000 or more on artifact sneakers? Sharanya, can you just explain that for us?
Yeah. So the bet is that in the near future, everyone will have a parallel digital identity, which is as important, if not more, than your personal one. And it's said that 10 to 15% of your wardrobe can be digital in the coming years. And I know that sounds bizarre to a lot of people here, but there are some compelling facts behind this. So if you take sustainability in fashion right now, with the rise of social media and repeat shame, overconsumption, overproduction, overstocking, these are huge barriers for sustainability in fashion, and something needs to be done. And I believe that the future of shopping is being redefined by generations looking to shop sustainable and ethically, yet along the way have cultivated a wardrobe based on social media trends they see. So ultimately, clothes are a way of expressing yourself, right, and your personality. So this is just a new way of expressing yourself in the digital world, I would say. And, sorry. No, also, I have so many of my friends who come and say that their kids are on Roblox. I don't know how many of you all know that. And they are spending all their time there, and they're actually spending money to buy digital garments. And they are growing up finding it extremely normal to spend real money on digital items. So as they grow, the industry is going to grow. Especially in the gaming field, it's a place where fashion NFTs can thrive. So yeah.
Kanish, so I mean, just to pick up on gaming, Hefty also is looking, I mean, y'all are playing in the gaming space as well, right? So how does that integration work between creators and people and their virtual identities?
So as she rightly said, the amount of time people are spending online is just going up and up. So currently it's estimated that people spend about 30% of their time online, which is kind of crazy. And to think that number will go up is even more crazy. So with that being said, people spending time online, people are going to want to show their virtual fashion off. They're going to want to show their virtual sneakers off. They're going to want to show off a Bored Ape CryptoPunk, which is just a profile picture of a monkey which costs $100,000. Why? For the same reason someone wears a Rolex, for the same reason someone buys a watch, for the same reason someone buys an MFSN painting physically. It's a flex. Yeah. So there's that. And of course, there's utility-based NFTs as well, which we'll come to later, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think the utility-based, right, that's kind of what brings me to music, because on music, how do you flex a music NFT that you own? Right? I mean, I heard you talk about the distribution of wealth, which is great for the artist, but what's in it for the user? Like, why not just get a Spotify 99 rupee a month?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, see, with music, there are a couple of ways that you can do it. There are a couple of ways that you could flex. No, but I think what's the really interesting is with music NFTs, right, is now the fans can directly become owners of a song. So like I could release a song as an NFT and say if you buy it, you own 50%. Or you even own 100%. You get the full song. You know, there was an album a few years ago that the Wu-Tang Clan released, right? And they only made one copy of it. And only this one guy bought it. And so only he had access to that music. And they're like they're a classic hip-hop band that millions of people would want to listen to. So now you can do the same thing digitally where you can release music only as NFTs. So only the people who buy that NFT can get access to the music. But for me, it's the investment model that I think is going to become the norm, where an artist releases a song and says, if you buy the NFT, you get this %, and then they share in the revenues with the musician.
If I could just add to that, maybe. So of course, there's definitely the aspect of you have your musicians able to monetize in a more effective way. You get the record label straight out the way, right off the bat. But there's also the fact that music and NFTs, it's a very simple example, I'd say, but the music and NFTs, it really allows you to interact with your fans in a new way, in a way that's never been seen before. What this means is I as an artist, or Jay, better example probably, as an artist, can find a way to interact with his core fans in a way that he never could before. So he could maybe release an album of his, just 100 copies with the bonus edition, available only as NFTs just for his core fans. Now, what's the value to that? There is a lot of value to that. I'm sure your core fans would pay for that. So yeah, it just opens a new door and new ways to interact with your fan base.
Right. So, I mean, in a way, it's cutting out the middleman, right? You're saying, hey, we don't need, Spotify said you don't need labels, you can independently publish music. And now you're saying you don't need Spotify, you can independently stream music, and the listeners and owners can have a piece of the pie, right? To bring that back to art, specifically Hefty and WazirX, are NFTs going to cut out the gallery being the middleman? Like, what role do you guys think galleries will play when, for at least the sale and transaction and display enough events are happening now, that may not be required?
So the idea is not to really cut out on anybody, but yes, the blockchain and NFTs do, enable or empower an artist and in such a way that they can actually reach out to their collector base directly. Now, I just wanted to quickly again hit on the point of investments. We are talking about NFTs as flex. We also have to remember that NFTs, last year we started off by thinking about the creator economy, but in the last 1 year we've realized that NFTs have emerged to be a very strong tradable asset, an asset class that one can invest in. Earlier, art was for the elite. Today, it has become accessible thanks to NFTs. Now, you have individuals and you have brands. Individual artists, basically can use NFTs to crowdsource or, basically raise funds for their projects and give back to their audience or their community. It's a way of engagement with the existing community. For brands, again, there are a couple of things you can do with it. Either it can be an asset class that you can build by dropping NFTs, or for brands, especially in the Indian context, it's difficult for brands to actually participate in this ecosystem by building an asset class because of the regulatory challenges. What they have started doing is they have actually started collaborating with NFT artists in this space. I don't know if I'm digressing from your question, but there's a lot that I want to share. So what brands have started doing is they are using NFTs as a way to re-engage with this new generation, as I keep mentioning, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and millennials. And they're just collaborating a lot with the ecosystem and hoping that when the cloud clears by next year and we have a clearer perspective from the government of India, that's when I'm hoping that they will be probably able to deep dive further.
Kanishk, you have a view on that since you all are probably doing the biggest NFT drop in the Indian context?
Yeah, I do have a view on that. Very interestingly, you brought up middlemen. Now, Hefty would technically be a middleman. So I would not say we are cutting the middleman out. What I would say is we are democratizing the whole process of the sale of art. What that means is we're able to provide a recurring revenue for each secondary sale on each piece of art to the artist, which I think puts power back in their hands, which is what is driving us at Hefty. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, so talking of the middlemen again, on our WazirX NFT marketplace also, we charge a flat 5% transaction fee. And we've had artists who've told, now again, I don't know the numbers here, but from whatever I've heard, globally, the success of artworks being sold via art galleries is at 33%. I'm not too sure if that's the accurate number. And in India, I think it is as low as about 8 or 9%. Not too sure of the numbers. No? Okay. I'm not too sure. But on NFT platforms like ours, our success rate is 61%, which means our artists have had more success in the NFT space than in the physical art space. We've had artists who've dropped their physical works, basically showcase their physical artworks in galleries and then showcase the NFT versions of those artworks on our marketplace and have had a faster sale on the NFT marketplace. We want art galleries to participate. Last year, art galleries thought NFTs were, I think it was the whole concept of digital art not being art. We need to relook at what we consider to be art. Digital artists were, literally shunned in ad agencies, and they were just busy preparing presentations. we have to recognize that these are artists in their own right, and the way the younger generation now looks at art is very, very different. And I think once art galleries realize that, and I think Christie's and Sotheby's are doing that, they are building their own metaverse. And I think once art galleries realize that, they'll realize that this is going to be a bigger success story. And who knows, they will probably discover their next MF Hussain via an NFT art showcase.
Right. Sharanya, is that happening with fashion as well? Like,
Yeah, fashion. I think there are so many big players and so many artists, but I want to touch upon the point she said about community. So a whole lot of fashion brands are incentivizing people who own their NFT by giving them access to exclusive launches and events and fashion shows. Also, some of them are enhancing their loyalty program. And what that is helping is to build a community, which again, I think is so important because Web3 is community driven. It's the backbone of Web3. So that's what I think most brands are doing right now to build that strong community. And what was the earlier question? I didn't.
I think we moved on from middlemen.
Yeah,
but do you have something to say about that?
DressX is the middleman, the place I sell my clothes. So yeah, middleman is going to be there. I don't think, yeah.
Are you just on DressX, or are you doing independent sales as well?
Yeah, I'm doing independent sales as well because, you know, the commission rate is too high.
DressX needs to learn from WazirX.
So I sell on my own as well.
Right. But I mean, I guess for you and Jay both, right? I mean, on the independent side as creators, without going the marketplace route, with OTP, you've built the tech yourself, right? So are there challenges you all have faced, kind of staying independent, not having the backing of a huge marketplace that's obviously investing in getting users and advertising, promoting? How do you make it as an independent creator?
See, I think it's still very early in the fashion game. I think there's still time to... Oh, sorry. There's still time for it to get where it's supposed to be. So, yeah, people are struggling a bit now. But the thing is, you're already in the mix and you're like, it is happening. It is going to happen soon, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It's still challenging, you know, because people are still learning about NFTs and this whole space. You know, for us, it's like building any kind of brand or small business. You have to, like, you know, promote, be your own marketing team, be your own everything. For us, one of the things that we did was on our platform, we made it so that people could purchase ours using UPI. So they can use a normal card to buy the NFTs. Because normally, you know, setting up a crypto wallet is a little bit of a process. And it can be tricky for people. So we wanted to bypass that. Now, on the flip side, what happens then is the crypto people are saying they don't want to reveal their names and their identities, which you have to do when you use UPI. So it's a challenge, but yeah, like Sharanya said, it's still growing, the whole industry and the scene.
Right. And again, we talk about music, we're talking about fashion more in the digital sense and digital art. Kanishk, I mean, obviously with your launch, we're talking about an NFT created based on a physical painting that's been around for a while, someone already owns it, right? How do you bridge that gap? Is it now one artwork turning into two assets? Is that a question that comes up? And how do you deal with that? Like if I owned a painting, I don't know how I would feel about an NFT of the same painting going out there.
So what the NFT for this piece really does is act like a certificate of authenticity or the provenance, if you will. So the NFT, of course, goes hand in hand with the physical painting. Every time there is a resale of the physical painting, it'll go hand in hand with the NFT. And the whole process of the sale can be tracked on the blockchain. That's the purpose of having them linked.
So how does it work, like, in terms of artists that are deceased? Like, is it working with their estates to make this happen in terms of the paperwork? Because on the blockchain, who's going as the creator? Is it the estate? Is it the marketplace? Just from a pure copyright IP and really harnessing the blockchain for transparency and a record of ownership and starting with creation, how does that get addressed?
So really, it's a question of who owns the IP, who holds the IP, where's the legal right there. So in this specific case, yes, it is with the MF Hussain Foundation. So we go through them, and they would be the sellers.
So as Kanish said, yes, it depends on who owns the IP. Now on WazirX NFT marketplace, our creators are the IP owners. We play no part in that. I just wanted to touch upon the point of NFTs. There are two kinds of NFTs. One is, the moment you list an NFT on any NFT platform, by virtue of doing that, you have already published your work or authenticated it on blockchain. Whether you want to sell it or not is a different ballgame altogether. So you may have university certificates that could be listed as NFTs. So they're not art, they're not music, they're not fashion, they're not, they have a utility where your university will just register or drop that certificate that certificate as an NFT on the blockchain, and that's not for sale. It's actually called soulbound tokens. And the NFTs that are for sale, we'll get, I think that'll probably, again, digress, and I'll probably deep diving into something more deeper, so forget that.
Right. I think, what I'd like you all to talk about a little bit more is the digital art side, because another very common question that I think a lot of people have is, why do I need to buy it? Why can't I just right-click, save as JPEG?
I have some Tesla shares, and I can probably email it to you. You can download it and save it on your computer. You will not own it. I will reap the benefits of my Tesla shares. It's the same thing with NFTs. They are a tradable asset. You don't own it if you right-click it and save it. If you want to monetize an NFT, you need to be the owner of it to be able to list it in the secondary market. On our marketplace, our collectors have made anything from 2x to 2,000x profits on the NFT sales in secondary markets.
So 2000x sounds great. I think even 5x sounds great, right? I'd take that deal any day. But inherently, it is linked to an extremely volatile crypto market, right? The minute you want to convert it, and we're going through a bit of a bear market right now, but when crypto crashes 40% over a week, that 2000x suddenly is not 2000x, it's 1000x. And then obviously there's the whole regulation, right? Hey, can I convert it back to my rupees? Can I convert it back to my dollars? And how do I do that? What do I pay in taxes? So again, I want you to touch upon that a bit, but also it's a big barrier of entry, right? So to get more people into the ecosystem, the bottom line is the financial element does matter, right? So, I mean, as independent creators and marketplaces, how are you all addressing that?
Yeah, it's tough. The bottom line has been the reason that a lot of people get into NFTs, and these, the taxes and the regulations. Honestly, I think it's going to drive a lot of people away from India that are doing crypto stuff, because what they did is, this flat tax of 30% and this possible GST tax, the government doesn't fully understand what's happening, but they just understand that people are making a lot of money, right? So they just wanted to figure out how to, they wanted to just take a cut of that. And it's unfortunate because, it is going to hurt people that are selling their art or doing whatever, and as soon as you convert it from crypto to normal currency, you have to deal with that. So it's a tough thing.
And while people are very interested in the bottom line, and we know that people want to make money, what we really have to keep in mind is the power of the technology. I find this oddly reminiscent to the dot-com bubble of the late 90s. You did have Amazon and you did have Google come out of that very strong. So I think we should keep that in mind and just keep work to build out the technology rather than just looking at the monetary aspect of the entire thing.
You guys want to add something? No? Cool. And, again, just on the point of the financial barriers, right? One of the things about blockchain is the fact that you can be anonymous about it, right? You don't know who owns CryptoPunk number 2758, right? But it has value. And I mean, there is tax evasion happening over there, but more importantly on the fact of crypto being stored in your wallet or your assets being stored in a wallet. Have you all come across cases where people purchased an NFT from you, lost their seed phrase, lost access to their wallet? I think you have.
So, I mean, we're part of many NFT communities where this has happened. But that is the responsibility. I mean, you have your wallet, you have the responsibility of keeping your wallet safe. Now, with crypto wallets, because of the seed phrase, you just have to keep it you have to keep it safely somewhere. But apart from that, there are issues like rug pulls that happen, people have lost money. And while, we talk of Web3 allowing us the right to privacy, there is a difference between right to privacy and choosing to be anonymous, especially where money is involved. Now, to each his own. I personally, as an NFT collector, do not buy or invest in NFTs if I do not know the creator. So if there are creators who don't have, they may have great artworks, NFT artworks, but if their social media handles don't really show anything, I will not buy from them. So to each his own, honestly.
Doesn't that become a little chicken and egg situation though? Like if you're a young creator who doesn't have social media following or press articles, or a young fashion designer who's not very social media friendly, right? The whole point was to make it accessible and democratic. How do young creators?
So again, being anonymous is different from having a social media presence. I mean, social media presence is different from having a large number of follower count. It's not about the number of followers you have. It's just about, it's like you having your LinkedIn profile. It's like you can't be really, much as I would love to live under a rock, you need to be out there. You need, I mean, if you're selling something, wouldn't you want your collector to have some sort of trust in you? Especially in today's day and age. Now, I know it's a chicken and egg situation. Now, on WazirX NFT marketplace, we keep talking of decentralization and this ethos of Web 3.0 where democratization of art happens, etc., etc. But on our marketplace, we had a wait list of 23,000 creators last year. We actually did gatekeeping. We didn't want to, but we had to because we were setting precedents here. We had to look after the interests of the NFT collectors because it's not the creators, it is the NFT collector who drives the NFT ecosystem. If somebody's putting their hard-earned money into the ecosystem, we had to ensure that only legit creators came on board. And by legit creators, we don't mean creators with, 5,000, 10,000 follow account. We actually went to their social media handles, went through each and every application, went through their social media handles, saw if they were consistently creating artwork from 2015 onwards, 2012 onwards, 2018 onwards. Even if it's 5 posts, talking about art, how consistent and how committed are you is what is reflected when you have a social media handle, and it's not about the follower count. But that's from a collector standpoint.
Right. I just want to come to fashion again, right? Because you obviously have the big brands getting into the space. You have Gucci, Prada, Hermes, who were all there. Are there case studies of smaller brands making it? I mean, with art, we have it, right? You have people who really was a hallmark. But on fashion, are the young, new guys finding their footing, or is that the next wave in the NFT space that's going to happen?
So there are already, they actually started this. So there was a jacket, an iridescent jacket that was a huge success, and that was from a small artist. And there were a couple of small artists, but right now, you can see a lot of big fashion brands rushing into this. So I would say, yeah, not a lot of, there are a lot of brands that are digital-only fashion brands like Ouroboros and Fabricant. They are the ones that have started small long back and become huge right now. So yeah, there are cases of small artists and big brands.
Right, that's interesting because it's a digital-only industry that's almost being set up.
No, it needn't be. It can also be phygital, what I would say. It can be a physical good that has a digital version, or a digital version that has a physical version. So it could be both.
I mean, that kind of ties into what you said about the art with certificates. Asa, do we have time for a longer discussion, or do we move to audience? Oh, we do. Great. Okay. Jay, I want to kind of come back to the streaming and the royalties bit, right? So with Royal.io and I think what you mentioned, buyers kind of get ownership of the stream. Where are the streams happening?
That's a good question. I mean, so see, if a buyer becomes a partial owner of a song, say from an artist who, they're not getting millions of streams, they're not getting hundreds of thousands, say they're getting tens of thousands, right? So the truth is the buyer probably will not recoup their money in the near future. But now they're equally invested in the artist and the growth of that song. So they'll help promote it. You know, it's the connection that Kanishk was speaking about before. So that connection, I think, you know, can help further how well the song could do. Because, you know, you could have a buyer who's like well connected in something, they invest in a song, and now they help push it somehow.
So, I mean, again, picking up on the phygital term that was used, is the song still streaming on Spotify? And
Yes.
is it still Spotify revenues coming in? So that's still a fraction of a fraction.
It is.
Of a fraction.
It is. Yeah. But the difference is that now the artist is getting money up front. So they can use that money to make a music video. They can use that to promote.
Okay, so it's almost like raising capital, right?
Yeah. It's like crowdfunding, honestly. It's a lot like crowdfunding, except now there is the possibility of a return on your investment.
Right. And that kind of brings up the question of utility, right? Like if I'm giving you money up front, what am I getting from it? And Kanishk, you brought up utilities a little bit earlier. So just to kind of draw the line between NFTs for art and utility-based tokens, which also obviously have art that goes with it. You want to tell us a little bit about how to look at those two differently from a collector perspective and maybe as a creator as well?
From an art perspective, I would say that art should be art. You don't necessarily need to attach utility to a piece of art. What the utility from this NFT could be is that the physical piece is going along with it. That could be a utility. For many collectors, you like the end consumer to be very aware of what they're buying. If you're tying in utility to an MF% painting, that really confuses the end buyer as to what they're buying. Where you can add utilities is where you play with DeFi, that's decentralized finance. You provide users with an opportunity to gain interest by staking the NFT. That's almost like a fixed deposit. There's those possibilities. And obviously the utilities with music are endless. There's so many new ways for artists to engage and entertain their core fans through NFTs, and those I think have huge potential and should be explored.
So when you talk about that, right, like utility-based, you spoke about as a collector when it comes to art, you're checking their profile. Have you invested in any utility-based tokens, and do you follow the same principle there? Like, I need to know the founders. And on that question, you want to talk a little bit about the doxed and undoxed culture that exists in the crypto space?
I'll avoid the culture part simply because people kind of misinterpret or think NFTs and crypto are same. Crypto is a digital currency, NFT is a product, but both are built on blockchain. So probably stay away from that. What was the first question?
The first question was about utility-based tokens.
Yes, so personally I have.
That you should do,
Sure.
kind of
So personally I have invested in NFTs from City Explorers. They are a brand that started the Discovery Walk tours in India, and they dropped their NFTs on a marketplace. And when you buy an NFT from them, you get access to these Discovery Walks. Now, I think this was great. See, because I'm a very different kind of collector. I'm not a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha. I'm a millennial. And I do come from a very traditional thinking background where I want my NFT to be on my cushion also. So it's like a very paisa vasool attitude. So coming from that space, I always feel that even in a very volatile situation, if the crypto market crashes and NFTs are not doing well, at the end of all of it, I'll at least have a beautiful piece of artwork that I can own. And art and music, of course, will always be part of NFTs, and they are the mainstay, and art being the mainstay of all NFTs, be it fashion or even films for that matter, films NFT. But that's, again, I will digress if I get into that. And what was the other question?
The other was about doxed and undoxed.
Yeah, which we'll probably not take right now.
Okay.
So when you're buying an NFT, one thing you really need to be aware of is what you're buying. Like, what are you getting on day one? If it's art, okay, you're getting the art. what day one utility am I getting by buying a picture of an ape? Am I getting to be part of an exclusive community? Am I getting to be part of a community that gives me alpha about investments? What am I getting? There's so many possibilities that can be applied just by selling one token. And I think that we just need to be aware of what we're buying. And when we talk about doxed and undoxed, what that really means is anonymous and not anonymous. You want to know who you're buying from. Because if you're buying from someone who's anonymous, they can disappear in an instant. And that's not good when you've put $100,000 into something. So.
Right, and you spoke about putting the art on a cushion. But Sharanya, like when it comes to fashion, let's say you make a design, you're putting it out there. If I buy that NFT, can I print it and put it on a t-shirt? Where does the copyright lie?
You can do whatever you want with it, actually. I don't think there's any restriction of how you can use an NFT. Especially in fashion, you can, the same product can be you can categorize it to three different ways. One is where you take the outfit and you Photoshop it on yourself. Second is you buy it as an NFT. Or third is you actually buy the real product. So there are three different ways you can purchase one garment.
I just wanted to quickly add to that point. You know, when it comes to NFT rights, remember when you're selling NFTs, the blockchain is a new stream of revenue. So I, as a filmmaker, earlier, pre-pandemic, before the pandemic, I would sell my films in, you know, I would sell various rights. So I would sell satellite rights, music rights, OTT rights, theatrical rights, overseas, blah, blah, blah. Add to that NFT rights. Now what happens with NFTs, especially if the creator has not specified it in the description box, the NFTs that you sell to the collector can only exploit the NFTs in the secondary market only on blockchain. That's it. If I am selling an NFT of, I don't know, my sunglasses, okay, and you've bought it, tomorrow you can't take a printout of that or make a merchandise of it and then sell 1,000 merchandise, you know, merch of those sunglasses because you have not been given the permission. Unless and I explicitly, you know, write it down in the description box.
It's kind of like buying a painting. I can't photograph it and sell prints of it myself without the artist's approval. So, you know, I think all of you all spoke about how since 2020, really the growth has been phenomenal. Where do you all see the industry moving from here? Like, what's the growth trajectory? I think I read somewhere it's going to be 1,000% year-on-year growth. I don't know if that's true, not true, but you all have some insights on the future of NFTs and how it's going to disrupt the space?
I mean, I read some stat recently that said like by 2050 maybe, or it was either 2040 or 2050, like it said 50% of all assets will be digitalized as NFTs. And I think that the growth is going to be pretty big over the next 10 years. I don't know what percent, but after this crash, right, after the recovery, we were talking about how it's similar to the dot-com bust in 2000. I think after people start getting more familiar and seeing which projects survive this and which ones have the most utility and how you can actually use NFTs, then it'll become a mass adoption.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. Mass adoption will happen, and I don't think it's going to take 10 years. The entire ecosystem will be on blockchain because blockchain, as I said, that is the BAP of all technologies that will enable, and you'll find blockchains in you know, company operations, et cetera, and all of us, I mean, the biggest of brands are now moving towards the metaverse, and NFTs are your first step of registering or authenticating yourself in the metaverse. And you know, last year, the early adopters and innovators were talking of NFTs. This year, even the laggards are talking about NFTs. My 70-year-old father is investing in crypto. My mother sends me Bitcoin and NFT news. So if 70-year-olds are talking and 10-year-olds are creating NFTs, I think mass adoption we're going to see mass adoption in the next 2 to 3 years.
That's optimistic, at least for the few crypto holders who put their hands up at the start of this conversation. I'm going to open it up to the audience at this point.
Thank you for this fascinating discussion. It's my first exposure to NFTs and very ably moderated, sir. My question is, as a baby boomer or like a other world person, is NFT another revenue stream for the creator or the artist? And would it then means that the real physical product price would come down because it's also traded on the NFT?
For sure. To answer your question, an NFT is another derivative, basically. You could call it another revenue stream, yes. And to answer the second part of your question, no, I don't think it would reduce the value of the art that already exists at all. In fact, it might work to enhance it because it works as a certificate of authenticity for the art.
Yeah, I think it's more like an extension of your brand, you know, like how social media, when it came out, right, all these small businesses weren't on it, or businesses weren't on it, and then they did, and it grew the business. And now every business has a social media account. It's the same with NFTs, so it expands like your personal brand or whatever your brand is, and I think the price can stay the same.
Sorry, I'm just going to add to that, right? But as a gallerist, what I've actually noticed is the value of the physical work going up because of the NFT industry. So we've had artists who've been active in the NFT space, and because of what they've done there for a year, when they do a physical show with us, there's sort of an existing market for them that lets them demand a slightly higher price. I've also had instances where people have come and said, hey, I'm willing to buy that painting as long as I get the NFT of it as well. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy it. So it's interesting how that dynamic works. I think a lady there.
I have too many questions, so I'll just stick to some 2-3 of them. Jay, one thing, see, most of them are, like we can't be having a tutorial on NFTs and blockchain over here. So one question was, you said that, suppose I have enough money, I can buy that one copy of that song, and it's mine. So on one end, you're democratizing the artist. On one end, you're depriving the audience completely. Because now I have monopoly in the buyer's market. And I'm going to kill that song. Okay, now it depends on the buyer, what sensibility that person has of what to do with that song. It defies, okay, I'm not stating it, but doesn't it defy art? Concept of art.
That's a deep question. That's a deep question. Honestly, I don't know. See, I think it does democratize it because you're saying I'm only making one of this song, and I'm letting the market decide what's going to happen. You know, so that in itself, I think, is a fair deal. If the one person who buys it, they decide whatever they want to do, you know, that's up to them. So I don't think it defies what is art, but I think it expands. It's business, yes. And art, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. This is a question from, most of your perspective has been from the buyer's side. We are artists sitting here. And we have a question. Today I register an NFT. First of all, I don't know how it benefits the person who's hosting it. It's just an authentication certificate. So if I sell my work through a gallery and the gallery in turn sells it and doesn't even know I own an NFT, it has no consequence because it's being resold many times over and nobody knows where it's gone and nobody's connected the NFT to the actual artwork. Second thing is, how far back does it retrospectively come into play? I've been painting for maybe 50 years, so can I put my 50-year-old works also on an NFT?
So my question to you would be, are you the owner of the art or are you the creator of the art?
I'm the creator.
If you're the creator of the art, then it gets very interesting for you. You can, of course, create NFTs that are separate from your physical piece as well. That can be another derivative of your art that works as a secondary source of income. And there's no cap on the number of years.
No, but I have a question. You're saying it's another source of income.
Yes.
But if somebody is copying my artwork, they walk into an exhibition, they take a photograph of the painting and they put it up, how do I benefit from that?
They can't do that. They can't do that. That's illegal. You can file a cease and desist and
that cease and desist is another story. Where do I go? To court?
Sorry?
It happens all the time. People are copying my works all the time, and there's nothing I can do about it.
See, but that's easier to do in the physical art world. With an NFT, you have a certificate of authenticity, which means you know exactly who the creator is and where it's come from. So you can actually check on the blockchain where this piece of art
First
has
of
come
all,
from.
the man has to have, or the person who's buying it has to have access to the blockchain.
Of course.
Or even know about it.
Of course.
So if he doesn't know about it, how does it benefit
But
anybody?
that's how we feel adoption will work. Once we move towards that world, it'll become a more commonplace thing for everyone to have a wallet and for everyone to maybe buy NFTs. And when that comes, maybe it'll be more accessible to everyone, is the idea.
You wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to add to that. Now, if somebody, assuming somebody has taken a photograph of your artwork, and you're saying drop that as an NFT, right? Now, in that case, the NFT community, by the way, there are very close-knit NFT communities, and such works get flagged immediately within the community. And that is why we insist on social media presence as much as we can,
But there are so many of you. How does one trace anything that all around the world?
I would recommend you begin by participating in NFT communities, because once you have these conversations, you will know how easily they can be traced. As I said, the technology is not bad. It's the people who need to basically, who basically create such ruckus. So let's just say the NFT ecosystem, especially blockchain, is a lot more safer because of the transparency, because of the transparency aspect of things. And I would recommend that you participate in the NFT communities. It's very easy to flag such cases. No, so what happens is NFT community, there are enough artists. So now these NFT artists in NFT communities they are artists who've studied artworks, who recognize, credible artists in the physical world. When they see such works being put out for sale, they're the ones who flag it, and then there are committees. For instance, at WazirX NFT Marketplace, we have a collectors committee that immediately reviews such works, and then we burn those NFTs. So those are the ways we can see it. Now, I think the challenge you're talking about comes from the fact, from how is that communicated to you, whether your artwork has been put out there or not. So I would strongly recommend that. I think this is where the need for larger communities, where NFT artists, art galleries, and physical, world artists are participating, so that there is a flow of information. I think that might just solve problems.
Hello everyone, I'm Priyal. I'm a photo collage artist, and I create personalized kind of artwork. So do you see a scope in something like that in the NFT market, like personalized or anthropomorphized art?
Yeah, I think NFTs, like everyone on the panel said, you can mint any asset that's out there. So even if someone's commissioning a painting or you're making a personal work, it can accompany, an NFT can accompany it like a certificate of authenticity. So like they said, your house deed can be an NFT. So really any asset can have an NFT to accompany it, which shows you as the creator. Anyone wants to add to that?
Anything you can really build a community around, anything you can get the people behind and want to buy, which will have demand in the market, is something that you can definitely look to mint, yes.
Yeah, so I was trying to understand this whole, transaction situation from the government's perspective or from a macro perspective. Things are being sold, things are being made, money is being made. It might need to be added to our GDPs, forex, things would come in, how the money is flowing. So firstly, how would a government or any agency track how much of money has gone out of the country or come into the country? And in case they really want to, which most country governments want to, how would they go about it while also ensuring anonymous nature of the NFT that is so important?
Asad, I think you will have to invite somebody from the government to answer these questions.
So they're watching it,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, our roadblocks, let's just say the number of NFT drops have gone down from 1st April. Having said that, the volume of sales has gone up, which means only the true believers have stayed on. who understand that, they have to go through the early, taxation, the huge taxation that has been imposed. And we'll just have to wait it out. It's as simple as that. No, WazirX does. WazirX is engaged with the government and we're advising them in a lot of, from a lot of perspectives. But from the NFT marketplaces perspective, we know that the government is treating us as a digital asset, NFTs as a digital asset. We know that for now there is 30% tax. We know there is a 1% TDS that needs to be deducted. There is talks of 28% GST also being levied. We just have to wait it out. We are all believers of blockchain and we'll just wait it out now.
I should address this to you as a gallerist. There was a time when we believed in the aura of the original. This goes back quite a ways. But are we heading towards a world which is not real anymore? And we had a taste of that during COVID. If everything is virtual, then what about the real? I mean, does it not, haven't we realized that's the most important thing?
Yeah, I think that's I think it's a philosophical quandrum that a lot of people in our generation kind of deal with. But, I think, like they spoke about earlier, people are spending more time online. Like personally, I have a nephew who's 8 and he's spending more time online. I mean, I'll be dead before that happens. So, at times I'm scared. At times I think it's really exciting. It's like seeing the Matrix come to fruition, which is kind of cool. It's scary, but I mean. So that I can answer for you, right? Because personally, I feel the experience of viewing art in person cannot be replaced. It's a question of how digital artists do it. And there are several galleries internationally. There are several independent artists internationally who are doing amazing installation-based work around generative art, right? So at least the way I look at it, and I think everyone here will agree with me, is there's a difference between the artwork and the NFTs. NFTs are just the tokens and the technology that allow for transfer of ownership. It's not really a question of the format or the medium of the art. The beauty of it is it's given digital art finally its day, right? I've always seen digital art to have value, and now there's a way to trade it, buy it, sell it. The question is, I mean, the aesthetic is there, right? And the question is, the responsibility to me, in my view, lies on the creator, the artist, and the gallery in terms of how do you present that work, right? It doesn't have to be on a small screen. You can use projectors. There's projection mapping that's been used. There's like an online kind of NFT-based gallery called Bright Moments, which does traveling exhibitions. They do a different one every 3 months. And they spend a lot of time in bringing that experience to people, right? So generating art on site, but doing it at a scale where you can project it onto a 300-foot screen. I haven't seen too many paintings that are 300 feet in size, but you can do that with digital art because scale can be infinite with a vector file. So I think it's a question of, and to me as a gallerist, I think that's what my role becomes over time. Like, how do I present digital art in an interesting way? And I think as consumers, you need to seek out the experiences. Locally, it's a little harder, but you go abroad, you go to Berlin, New York, LA, Tokyo, they're doing some amazing presentations of digital art via NFTs.
So I'm a photographer. I want to kind of mint my photos for the first time. So can you guys walk me through that process? What are the roadblocks I should be expecting during like that?
First thing, you need a wallet. That's what you need. I hope you know that. And you want to mint your photographs, is it? So yeah, you can go on WazirX, you can go on any of the platforms and get your smart contract sorted, and that will sort you out as an artist, and you'll be fine. You just have to put your artwork out there.
So I need to have like a smart contract as well.
Yeah, that's Yeah, you can answer.
So we've also introduced photographs as NFTs on our platform, and we have some of the best photographers from the country on the platform. Very simple, you need to download a crypto wallet, something like a MetaMask or a Trust wallet. When you come on our platform, you just have to connect your crypto wallet with the platform, and then you have a step-by-step guide to go about it. It's fairly simple. Just come to, shameless plug, nft.wazirex.org, and you have all the knowledge repository there.
Hey, I have a question about which blockchain do you normally choose, right? So, I mean, on OpenSea, it's probably going to be like Ethereum or Polygon or something like that. But, I mean, it's kind of easy to just like list on Ethereum and then also list on Polygon. So, I mean, maybe ethically someone wouldn't do it, but I mean, it's a possibility, one, and two, I mean, each of you have listed NFTs, so which blockchain did you choose and why did you choose it?
See, that's a good question. So I would say, see, most people, Ethereum is the one that people have done right up till now. That's become the biggest because they were the first to have NFTs. But now I would actually say to not go on Ethereum because the fees, the gas fees, it's very expensive and it adds up very fast. So like I would recommend Polygon honestly because it's built on Ethereum, but there is their minimal gas fees is basically almost zero. You can mint multiple copies of one NFT. Right. So like say you wanted to mint a bunch of your photos, you could do that. And it's just, I don't know, it's mostly because of the cost. The costs are much lower.
Right, fair.
So how does the brand get involved in the NFT market? Can we come on board the WaziRex platform and
Yes, of course. We've had Lakme Fashion Week drop their own NFTs. We've had brands like Mr. Manish Malhotra drop, even though he's a creator, but he's also a brand. He's dropped his own, his NFTs. We've had Sunburn Music Festival. We've had City Explorers. We're having conversations with some of the biggest ad agencies who want to now introduce brands. Just start a conversation with us, write to us, and we can take it forward. It's nft@wazirex.com.
nft@wazirex.com. I just want to add to the previous question a little bit. I think a big question is market liquidity, and Ethereum just has more liquidity. So again, like buyers that have contacted us for NFTs, most of them have preferred Ethereum because they have Ethereum.
Eventually just going to be like the network effect, right? So like Facebook, for example, like got to the point it got to because there was a chapter into it. Yeah. And I think the question is Ethereum, the gas fee is part of Ethereum, like past the point where like others are not going to be competitive around. So,
yeah, I think gas is going to be a big issue, right? Because if you're paying $150 to $200 just to mint an artwork, it's a lot, especially if you go into the generative.
But beyond the point of the creator only pays the gas fee once. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, it may like cause a bit of friction for resale and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, fair point. The gas fees will be definitely a big part.
If I'm not mistaken, I think OpenSea has a lazy minting feature where you only mint after you have an offer to sell it, so that kind of offsets your investment. But I haven't done that, so I'm not entirely sure. Don't hold my answer.
Just do closing so that we can ask questions.
Yeah. Okay, I think some of the panel might be here for a bit, but I've been asked to end the panel. Thank you all for coming out. And I just want to say one thing, since a lot of people aren't on the crypto spaces, just do your own research before getting into it. And that's really the most important thing. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Asad.
Thank you to our wonderful panel. You know what, Avid's tagline and also hashtag is learning never stops. And this old adage has been reinforced multiple times today, including an idea from Kanish that Avid is going to be dropping an NFT on WaziRex where you all can get exclusive access to a lot of our programs. So stay tuned for that. Jokes aside, thank you guys for such a enlightening conversation and defogging some of the doubts we had. Sahil being eloquent and wonderful as always. Firstly, I have to do a couple of thank yous. So first, I'd like to thank our partners, IFB, this wonderful space. Many of you all are coming here for the first time. I came here when they launched in April. I said, we've got to be back here. So thank you to Sarita and Vaishnavi for having us. And Avid's going to be doing a monthly series out here. So hopefully I will see you back soon. And to Method and Sal for collaborating with us always. He's our usual stop for all things cools and art. And a big thank you to you all for being here. I know it's so easy to Zoom it in these days. So coming to a physical event also takes a lot of time. Now I have to do some shameless plugs. Our next program, the last program for this month, is The Influence of Birds in Hindustani Classical Music by Maestro Anish Pradhan, which is over Zoom on Thursday. June, we have 5 very exciting programs. I'm not going to tell you about all of them. Just the first one, which is at the Royal Opera House, where we are going to be having Antonio Vivaldi's Four Seasons represented by modern dance, by the Italian dance troupe, and also with Indian couture. So hopefully we will see you at some of our programs. And until then, just find us on social media, stalk us until we have our NFT. We just do that. Or check out our website. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. The panel will be around if you want to ask some more questions for a bit. Thank you.